So my close rate is now at about 80%.
First of all, when it comes to traditional techniques of sales, I hate them.
So I do a lot of prep work now for the conversations, and the conversations end up being way more interactive and actually way more fun. It's more like a conversation than a sales call. Where before I always dreaded the calls because it's almost like coming at it from abundance versus scarcity. So before it was like, I have to close this deal. I have to close this deal. I have to close this deal. And looking at it as a deal was getting in the way of my authenticity versus looking at it as a conversation created that authenticity.
I would imagine all of the traditional sales activities that you're going to find in any sales program, Jason includes in this one. And even though I find those, and I've been finding them for 30 years, intimidating, and they started out intimidating in this one as well, eventually, because of all of the material that Jason is presenting, I reframed those, what I would have called sales techniques, and saw them as part of building an authentic relationship.
A lot of what his strategies in there just make a lot of sense and were important to me, and I valued them because they incorporate what I believe is really needed right now is this beautiful feminine aspect of sales. Nobody wants to be sold to, but there is ultimately a need, and how to help people get to that and not feel like you are pushy, sales, all those things.
Asking strategic questions to really get to what are your problems? What are you trying to solve? What do you hope to get at the end of, what do you hope to have at the end of coaching? That has been the biggest shift. And then the impactful statements and social proof piece, I always felt like I couldn't use that. And this is like a Southern values thing, right? My parents were from the South, don't brag, etc. So I always considered that bragging versus looking at it as, no, this is talking to them about, I had a client who was going through something similar. This is what happened. And so I've dealt with this type of conversation before, and I feel comfortable doing that.
I changed the way that I approached my sales conversation with getting to know the individual that I was speaking with, understanding who they are, what is it that they do, what lights them up, what problems do they have, and if they're interested, offering a solution that may help them. I also went in with the expectation that I'm at this networking group to see who I can help. How can I help them? If they were not my ideal client, that's okay. Perhaps they would know who my ideal client, they would know my ideal client, and they would refer me. When I leave a networking group, I feel like I have had authentic conversations, building relationships that are gonna make connections and that are helping me with my sales.
The real underpinning of this program is that it's about how to communicate authentically and create a genuine relationship. Now in this case, with a prospect, someone who might hire you. But everything in this program works for your family as well. So my number one reason for recommending it is it worked for me and what I'm most comfortable with.
I was able to listen to what their needs were versus impose what my wants were. And through that, I was able to develop tremendous amount of loyalty through people. They wanted me to help them because that's really what it was. It turned into a me helping them situation versus me trying to fulfill my quota, my need, my goals professionally, feeling and trying to get those people in those right spots. Of course, that's what I want to do. I want to fulfill my clients' needs, but at the same time, I need to be able to consider everybody's needs at the same time. I really learned, I feel that I have become a better listener in all aspects of my life, but the loyalty that I developed with individuals was like nothing I've experienced in the last 10 years of doing this.
I know what has changed the most is really being more focused on what the client needs than what I'm trying to sell them. So I don't like sales anyway, so I was never a really pushy salesperson. But there was just something about kind of setting the tone before we started, and then asking a lot of questions to get the information, and then focusing the conversation on what they really wanted versus what I thought they wanted to hear.
Finally, I encourage you to look at Jason's program, because this isn't something that somebody wrote a book about and Jason read the book and now he's selling a program around it. Now, he's read lots of books and he mentioned several of them in the course of the program, but this is really something, at least my sense of it is, this is what he's lived for decades. This is what he's been at work at creating for decades. So he really embodies this information pretty much every minute of every program. So with all of that, before I leave you, I want to say one more thing, because I may never be able to say this again in my life. I'm Jim Early of Trailblazer Coaching, and I approve of this message. Have a great day.